Hey humans, how's it going? Susan Ruth here. Thanks for listening to another episode of Hey Human Podcast. This is episode 154, and I sat down with Shawn Ryan. He is a former CIA, former Navy SEAL, and he currently owns and operates Vigilance Elite. And he trains people in weaponry and know-how and just general good sense and things when it comes to all things weapons. He, in fact, is used a lot for movie sets to train actors, and most recently, he has made headlines himself because he trained Keanu Reeves for the John Wick film. So, very cool and interesting guy. I was really happy that he took the time to sit down and chat with me. Usual stuff, social media, Hey Human Podcast, you know how to find it at this point probably. You can also find my personal stuff at Susan Ruthism. HeyHumanPodcast.com is the website, and as always, every episode has tons of links on the links page, and this episode's no different. And in fact, I do recommend you checking out Shawn's YouTube channel. It's pretty cool. And there's a link to that there on HeyHumanPodcast.com. You can email me, Susan at HeyHumanPodcast.com. See how simple I make things? And also on the website, you'll find the Amazon portal. So if you shop Amazon, you click on that portal and do your shopping. It helps support Hey Human and helps me to keep the show ad-free, which is certainly a goal. What else? Yesterday was my birthday. And that was exciting. At least I think yesterday was my birthday, because I'm recording this a week in advance. Yep, for sure 2 days ago was my birthday. So let's just cut that. My birthday was a couple days ago, and that was fun. I am in Seattle with my family, and I'm really enjoying this time with them. So that's really great. I hope everybody is having a wonderful spring, and not gonna lie, this message is pre-recorded, so if something horrible happened in the world during this week and I'm not addressing it, it's only because I don't know it happened yet. So hopefully nothing happens. I'm gonna hope for a really nice, lovely week of no bad things. Let's see what happens. All right, well, that's enough of that. Thanks for listening, everybody, and here we go. Shawn Ryan, welcome to Hey Human. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
I learned about you through a mutual friend, Anthony, and he told me all about, he said, you gotta look at this YouTube, it's so crazy, and it was one of you shooting firearms and instructing other people.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I was like, ooh, that looks interesting, and he told me a bit of your background. So you are former Navy SEAL, and the CIA, they hired you to go into places where...
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really interesting. I want to start kind of way back. Where'd you grow up?
I grew up kind of all over. My dad was a pharmacist, and he would go around and clean up pharmacies that had a mess.
Oh, and, like buy them out and stuff, you mean? Or
no, it would be like hospitals that are having problems. And so he would fix it, and then another hospital would hire him to go clean up their mess. So we were bounced around all over the place. And then, but I grew, I guess, from 7th grade to when I left for the Navy was a small town in Missouri, Chillicothe, Missouri.
Oh, that is a small town.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You been there?
No, but I know that I've been to, I've been to those areas and stuff. And I've driven across this country so many times, and I like going different directions every time. Yeah. And seeing all the little small towns and, population 12 kind of thing, where everybody knows everybody's business. Actually, I enjoy that. Do you think that having you guys move around so much helped you to be more adaptable? I mean, I imagine that sort of starts the foundation to be able to do what you did later in life.
I mean, I didn't really know any different, so...
Yeah. But it teaches you to read people, and so you have to make friends fast and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. Yeah, it probably helped. Yeah. But why did you go into the Navy? What drew you to that?
I just wanted to be a SEAL.
So you specifically went in going, this is my goal, and I'm going to do that.
Yeah, I wanted to be special operations, and kind of like I was all into the Vietnam movies when I was a kid, and then I think I started off, I wanted to be a Marine, and the Marine recruiter wouldn't let me be a force recon guy, and it was like, oh, no, you got to go to the infantry first, and I just wasn't having it. And then I went to the Army and wanted to be Green Beret, and they were like, nah, not having it. And then the Navy, you had to put all this time in before you could try out for the best, and the Navy recruiter kind of stuck his head out and was like, hey, you know, you want to be a SEAL? And I was like, well, what the hell is that? And he gave me some material and went home and read up and watched all the Discovery Channel specials and said, yeah, I'll do it, you know.
And it's for people that don't know, Navy SEAL is the elite force within the Navy. They're the special forces
they're the
within.
Special Operations unit for the Navy.
And what kind of training, I know that you have to go through for something like that, besides probably weighing you down with lots of weights and throwing you into an ocean?
Yeah.
What kind of things do you have to go through?
I mean, first you have to go to just a basic training, and which, I mean, is like nothing compared to that. And then back then you had to go to they call it an A school, which is like the Navy kind of picks all the jobs that they have a shortage on. Mm-hmm. So it's either the stuff that's, you get to score really high on your test to get into, or the stuff that nobody wants to do. And so I scored pretty high, so I chose something that was better in case I didn't make it through, and knocked that out for like 2 months, finished that school. Then I got to go to BUDS, which is basic underwater demolition school.
Meaning you get to blow things up underwater?
Yeah.
Which probably is, when you think about it, and the idea, considering how water displaces things, it's just such a weird thought to me to try and blow things up underwater. Yeah. It seems like the pressure of the water would make things very difficult to...
It works. So then you go to BUDS and you have like a 5-week NDOC, which is kind of like just getting your feet wet. That you really don't do much, and then you hit, they call it 1 day, and BUDS is broken up into 3 phases. So first phase is, it's kind of just like a kick in the nuts for, a couple months, and that's when you go through Hell Week, and they're basically just trying to get you to quit, mm-hmm. and they're trying to weed out all the people that just don't have it mentally or physically. And then you get through that, and you go to dive phase, which is second phase, and you start off with that, and that's also kind of a kick in the nuts. They put you on open circuit, which is like what you see scuba divers doing with the bubbles coming up, mm-hmm. and get you comfortable with the dive equipment, and you start off in the pool, and they kind of kick the shit out of you under there. And
did you dive before you had done that?
No.
No, okay.
No.
So you're learning everything from scratch.
Yeah, which is probably the best way to do it.
Because you don't learn anything wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
And then, so you go through this big, they call it pool comp, which is like a week-long test mm-hmm. of the open circuit stuff. And then if you make it through that, then you move to closed circuit, and which you start diving rebreathers, which is like a dive rig that kind of recycles your oxygen so no bubbles come up.
Oh, so you can be stealthy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you start learning how to navigate underwater and in the dark, and you're planting bombs on ships. And
how in the world do you navigate underwater? That is crazy to me.
Yes.
Is it a memory sort of device where your brain sort of maps out?
Kind of. I mean, there's a lot to it, but you basically have like this little, they call it an attack board, and it's just got a little compass on it. And you plan your bearings out according to how the tide's moving, and you have to know your kick count. So like I think my kick count was like 66 kicks was like 100 meters. And so yeah, you plan everything out on a map, on a nautical chart, and it's, you know, you might do 1,000-yard leg, and then you have to it whatever bearing, and then you kind of keep a tally of your kicks every 100 meters. Put a little mark on there with like a grease pen, pencil, and then reset your bearing, and I don't know, maybe the next leg's 500, a different bearing, and you get there, and then
and are you constantly having to readjust? Because I imagine you start to fatigue after a while, and then you go from 66 kicks maybe to 60 kicks.
Yeah.
And it throws everything off.
It's horrible.
How much you weigh versus what you ate that day.
Yeah.
And
you've really got to, I mean, it takes a long time to kind of get it down. And
yeah.
You never really get perfect.
Sure.
I mean,
were you a strong swimmer before you started?
I was not a strong swimmer, but I was really comfortable in the water.
Yeah.
So I had that, which is probably a lot more important than being a strong swimmer.
Confidence?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think. Absolutely. Before you jump ahead to the next phase, on the first phase, as you were talking about, and we've all seen those movies where the sergeants and things, and, you know, yelling at people, calling them maggots, making them leave, or whatever the movie stylizes it as. But the test of your will, the fortitude of a person, it must be really fascinating for yourself to sort of realize what your own limits and potential are.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you saw people break.
Yeah, I saw, I think, man, we started out, well, I can't even remember, but it was like 200 and something people started. And I think when we got out of Hell Week, it was about 30 of us, 30 something left. And you see a lot of people break.
Yeah.
So.
Did you have any inner mantras, something to keep you from reaching that point, or were you just built for that kind of thing?
No, nobody's built for it. My thing that kept me going is I just didn't want to let my parents know that I failed. I was only 18.
Which is another thing, 18, you know, you barely know who you are.
Yeah.
And to be put through that, it's almost, I know this is going to sound crazy, but I feel like in a way it's like being sent off to the monastery and learning to be like a Sufi or a monk of some sort, where you have to have such discipline.
Yeah. You just, I don't know, you know, that's just, I wanted to do it.
Yeah. Mind over matter.
I didn't want to let anybody down. And
did you have siblings in the military? Or
no, I'm the oldest and the only one that went.
Okay.
So.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's tough. You know, I think I was actually 19 when I showed up to Bud's. But you see like Golden Glove boxers and Olympic swimmers and guys that were on D1 scholarships and
what's that? I don't know.
Division I schools,
like okay,
football
yeah.
players and water polo players and rugby and
they're like, where's the horse?
yeah, and there were guys that had already been to war and back that were, you know, with infantry units or we had a couple of Marine recon guys in there, and a lot of them quit, you know, and there I am like a skinny little 19-year-old kid going, holy shit, if that guy quit, then I'm not going to make it. And, but, you know, I just wound up making it.
But some part of you must have known that you were going to.
Yeah. I mean,
the sheer force of, I'm always fascinated by that human condition, that sheer force of will to make it through something. I mean, it's so easy to beat yourself up and like, oh, I can't do this. But as soon as you put that in your brain, you're done.
Yeah.
That's it. You're over.
Yeah.
But if you have this sort of, you know, your own drill sergeant ramming through your brain, you know, I guess it keeps you going.
Yeah. I mean, they're not there to be your buddy though. They want, like, they're trying to get you to quit because they want to weed all the out.
Sure.
So.
Can you switch, this may be a dumb question, but if you say we're in the Army and then one day you're like, okay, I retired from the Army and now I want to go into the Navy. Can you do that? Or is it you're one and that's it? Or do you know?
I mean, I know you can switch, but I think you have to out-process and then re-enlist.
Okay, yeah, so you can retire or something and then do that.
Yeah.
Okay, I always wondered that. It's very interesting. So you must have been just high as a kite when you graduated. Like, holy shit, I can't believe I did this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a pretty good feeling.
Do they send you off right away, or do you have some time to process? Meaning off to whatever crazy adventure they're going to send you on?
Well, that's just buds, and then so you go through the 3 phases of buds, and then you go straight to jump school, which is to start jumping out of planes, which is actually it's an Army school, and that's about a month.
Is that Ranger school?
No,
it's different.
No, it's just they call it airborne school, and you go there and for a month to jump out of planes, and then as soon as you're done with that, then you go back to San Diego for SQT, which is SEAL qualification training, which is more, it's kind of like buds, but it's more of a gentleman's course. You're not getting the shit knocked out of you all the time.
Yeah.
And it's more of a learning environment, you know. I mean, there's still like a lot of pressure and very high stress, but they're more focused on making sure that you get the material. They're not there to try to weed anybody out anymore. They already know that you have what it takes, and so they're kind of polishing you up and turning you into a special operator. So.
Are you learning a foreign language all along?
No.
Okay.
No foreign languages yet, and so that whole process takes about a year, but it's every day. Mm-hmm. So.
Yeah. Wow. It's a lot of training.
Yeah. It's it's a lot.
And when you graduated, then what happens?
When you graduated from SQT, then you get your SEAL Trident, and they assign you to a team. So all the odd numbers are on the West Coast, all the even numbers are on the East Coast, and you get to pick. They give you like top 3 choices of what team you want to go to.
What does that mean? What team, as in?
So before, like kind of pre 9/11, each team had like a specific area that they operated in. So like SEAL Team 4 was all South America, and SEAL Team 3 was CENTCOM, which is Middle East. SEAL Team 2 was EUCOM. SEAL Team 1, I think, was PACOM, which is like Philippines and Thailand. And
did you have a preference?
Yeah, I wanted to go to 4 because I wanted to do the drug trafficking stuff down in South America. But when I got through that all that shit went away. So, and everybody was heading to the war zones. Mm-hmm. So I wound up at Team 8 and then went over to Team 2.
Okay.
But.
So you've prepared for all of this. You've had the training. It's nothing like being there in real life, I'm sure. And how many times have you gone overseas and to missions and things?
20-something.
20-something.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service, by the way. I should have gotten that one right out of the
welcome.
gate. Is that annoying when people say that to you, or is it...
I mean, you just never really... No, it's not annoying. It feels good.
Yeah.
But you just never know what to say.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, do you say, my pleasure? Do you say, you're welcome? And then,
It is a weird interchange between civilian and military person, I think, because from my side as a civilian, when I see somebody that's in the military, I want to say thank you because they're doing something that I'm not doing, obviously, and that helped protect my life and doing all this stuff. But then you feel like sort of almost intrusive or something, and I don't know, it's this weird sort of moment, and then I see the look on the military person's face like, ah, shit, now I gotta say something too, and there's this like moment of like, ah!
I think, I always wonder, like, you always wonder if if the person that's saying thank you for your service knows why they're saying thank you. And then it's like, I have, like, with me personally, I have like this little flash in my head that's like, if I could just take like a little 5-second reel out of my head and put it into your head so that you know why you're thanking me, then it would become like very real.
Yeah, it's interesting to me when it is, to me, unimaginable to think about the things that you have likely seen or experienced along with your brothers and sisters in arms. And so I think about that sort of thing. How do you thank somebody for that, really?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean,
but it does feel good, to say it. So,
yeah.
And, like when you hear it, you're like, oh, well, that,
yeah.
It's cool.
When you went into the military, was that part of it? Like, I want to do something for my country and my countrymen, and you know what I mean? Or was it more, I want to go have this grand adventure, or was it sort of a little bit of everything?
I think it was a little bit of everything. I mean, there's a whole bunch of ways to serve the country.
Of course.
But, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be, part of an elite unit, and I wanted to feel that high stress, and it just really appealed to me.
Had you been an adrenaline person as a teenager? Or?
Yeah.
See, I can't even imagine jumping. I'm kind of a pussy. I can't imagine jumping out of a plane. It freaks me out so much.
Yeah, it freaks me out too. I still hate it. So I don't know why anybody would want to jump out of a perfectly good airplane.
Right.
But,
oh my gosh. So when you land on your first mission and you're going to, I know you probably can't talk about some things and some things you can, but I am interested in like what's going through your mind. What are you thinking about? Like, holy shit, this is real. There's no more drills. There's no.
Yeah, I mean, it's exciting because you just you do so much training, and you're just preparing and training for every possible scenario and every environment. And then when the first one comes, it's like, holy shit, like, this is it. This is what we've been doing all this shit for, and all the blood, sweat, and tears and time and all that. And it's like, oh man, like, this is about to happen. And it's the best feeling in the world. I mean, it's like, like the anxiety leading up and just knowing, what could happen is it's just, you're nervous, you're scared, you're excited. I mean, it's like a whole bunch of emotions all wrapped up into one feeling, and it's just, you gotta pee a lot.
Really?
Yeah, you're nervous. I mean, it's
at least it's peeing. If you had to poop, you'd be like,
oh,
this
man,
is not gonna work out. I have a lot of gear on right now.
Like, I gotta pee, and everybody does, and it's like, and then 5 seconds after you pee, you're like, oh man, I gotta pee again.
Oh man.
Then you get on the helicopter, and it's like, oh, I gotta pee. Then you get off the helicopter, and it's like, oh man, I gotta. But and then it's just like that all the way until like you're in it. And
then you don't have time to think about peeing, probably.
No, it's just, and then once it happens, if anything does happen, it's like everything. It's just kind of like, it's almost like, it's just like everything slows down. It's kind of weird.
Sure.
But
like a car accident. Only you're more in control, I would think. I mean, you're in control, but not in control because you have no idea what everybody else is. You know what your team is doing, but you don't know what the thing you're going into is doing. Yeah. That's the unknown.
Yeah. I mean, it's not always as unknown as you'd think, but it's a good feeling, and it really is. Like, you're out there doing what you've been waiting to do for years, and then it finally is like right in front of you. And so.
How do you wrap your head around the idea that what I'm about to do could end in my demise immediately? And the people I love. I mean, because you come up with these people, and they're I mean, it's like it's tighter than family, I would imagine. There's a
Yeah.
bond when you have to put yourself in someone else's hands, because that's what you're all doing with each other, right?
Yeah.
So how do you wrap your head around, I mean, I could drive to the market and, get hit by a car and die. Fine. I mean, we face that every day, whatever. Kind of different.
Yeah.
How do you wrap your head around that? How do they prepare you for that?
Well, I mean, it's just kind of like, that's why buds and that's why it's so hard, and that's why like the shit that they put you through is like that never quit, and that's why it is so hard, because they get rid of all the people that are like, maybe this isn't for me. But I mean, damn well that could happen before you ever go, before you ever even sign up and enlist. So I mean, yeah, it scares the hell out of you, but it could happen. And I mean, but you're doing what you want to do. And,
Yeah.
And so is the guy next to you. And I mean, I've lost more friends than I can count. But, at the end of the day, like, they did want to be doing that. And,
The sort of doing what you love
yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a weird concept to wrap your head around. Somebody dying for something that they believe in. The idea of honor, death and honor being intertwined is such a weird concept.
Yeah.
Do you have any missions that you're allowed to tell? I know that stuff probably is classified mostly, but.
I mean, I guess a big thing we were doing in Iraq back in 2005 was like these the Army, I'm sure you know what an IED is. It's improvised explosive device, and they have vehicles and suicide bombers and roadside bombs, but they're all IEDs. And back in 2005 was kind of like the heyday for those. They had just developed this new one that called the EFP, which was they were putting them on like these infrared sensors, and I'd blow a hole through a vehicle, and it would basically, the pressure would suck the guys right out the hole that it makes. And
Like on an airplane or something? Wow.
no, on vehicles.
No, I know, but the way you would get sucked out of an airplane if there was a...
kind of, but it'd be,
Yeah.
it turns you into mush. And anyways, this was a huge deal back then. And so we were attaching to like regular Army units who were getting hit over and over, same, like several times a week, and just losing guys left and right. And so we would go in and like help them, kind of teach them how to like set up a mission and kind of like run some surveillance and figure out where it's coming from and who's doing it and blah blah blah. And then we would teach them a bunch of sniper shit, and we would bring them out on missions. And I remember the first one that we did, we grabbed these, I mean, they were like kids, and I guess I was a kid too, but they were like, some of these guys weren't even 21 yet. And we trained them up, and they were getting hit. I remember every single Wednesday a vehicle was down, or somebody was dead. And so we had created this whole target package and brought these guys in with us, and taught them everything from planning all the way up to execution. And we brought them out, and we killed those dudes within 24 hours.
The ones that were attacking you.
Yeah, we killed the IED placers within 24 hours. And I remember seeing those guys' faces. They were just like so excited and so happy that we got them, because they'd fucking taken so many of their guys out. And wound up just being like two dipshits on a moped that were basically getting bar money every Wednesday because Thursday is the big holiday over there. And so they would go place every Wednesday, get paid some chump change so they could, go party on Thursday night. We lit them up. And anyways, came home and we ran into those guys, the same guys at the end of the deployment. I remember we were just sitting at Chow Hall. And there was like...
The ones you helped, you mean?
Yeah. Well, me and like 3 of my buddies, SEALs, were sitting at a Chow Hall and we were just like days from leaving, coming back home, deployment's over. And those guys walked in. And we had been bouncing all over Iraq. And they walked in and they were like, holy shit. And we talked to them and they're like, they had not lost one more person.
Oh, wow.
And I can't remember how many bad guys they had killed since we were there. And this is only maybe like 3 months later. And they had new gear. They had a new commanding officer that was like giving them extra funding and letting them kind of run their own deal. And it was just like the best feeling in the world. Like that we were able to pass our knowledge on to them in a real short amount of time, and how many American lives were saved just from that.
Did the military take notice of that and send you in to train other teams as well?
Yeah, but we were actually bouncing around. We had trained several teams.
Yeah.
And
okay.
From different units. And but those are the only guys that we ever, like, we would always go out, would train them, blah, 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 go out, kill, the bad guys the terrorists. And then come back, but then we would never see those guys again.
Right.
And it was just kind of...
Happenstance brought them back around for you.
Yeah, it was just cool to see. The very first guys that we did train were the last, and we just luckily ran into them, right before we were out. And to see, like, how effective they were now, and the fact that they're, able to create a target package and execute it and keep saving lives is just... It was really... meaningful.
Yeah. So it's so interesting to think that, like, if we were born across the world, how the different paradigms of everything, it's just so bizarre to me. The idea of, like, the good and bad, and, these people are, what they're, like, the Al-Qaeda and stuff, like, how they treat women and how, all the things that they're doing, and then in their minds that they've, like, oh no, this is how it's supposed to be, and it's weird to wrap your head around humanity when it seems like we'll never figure it out sometimes. You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's a different world over there, and it's definitely a different way of thinking.
Yeah.
But
yeah. And I mean, I've read some books, like I read Sebastian Junger's book War, and I remember just reading that book was so traumatizing. And I think, if that's just reading it, I can't even begin to imagine what it would be like.
Yeah. It's
how do you come home and be normal? How do you, like, fall in love and, like, watch your children grow up and, like, see people without being like, I don't know what's going on in a given moment? Or is that always going to be with you forever,
it's not exactly like that, It's not, some guys get, like, the over paranoia type stuff, but sure. That's not really the main thing you deal with coming back. It's more, you're not getting that fix of adrenaline, because it's like the adrenaline is kind of like a drug, and like the desensitizing because of what you've seen over and over and over and over, and what you've done over and over and over. That's kind of what starts to take a toll, is that is that stuff. It's not, for me, it was not the over paranoia. There's things that I can pick up and spin into something, but I know it's probably just, I'm like, we're not in fucking Baghdad anymore. So, but But like something, I don't know, I always know if somebody's following me, or if I see somebody 3 times at a mall, that, you know, they say like 1 time's fine, twice is a coincidence, 3 times,
Something's up.
yeah, it's not a coincidence.
That's a good thing for women to know, I think, especially.
Yeah, but
For sure.
sometimes that shit just happens, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
Sometimes a cigar is just a cigar.
Yeah.
Like Freud said.
yeah. So, but I don't know, you know, it takes a long time to come back and I don't know if I'll ever fit in, but to kind of readjust. And
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, because just having a regular conversation with somebody, from your perspective, it's gonna be like, there's no way you could explain to me what that was like. There's just no words for it, probably. You can do the best you can, but I can only understand it through what I've seen and done.
yeah.
And so there's a depth that I will never grasp. So
Yeah.
that does, I imagine that must be very alienating in a way. To like know that everyday people have no freaking clue, you know?
It is. It's sometimes it bothers me, but you know, but when I think about when I start feeling like that, you know, I mean, that's kind of like why you're serving. Like, not everybody is supposed to see that shit, supposed to experience that shit, and it's not good for you. And you just got to keep that in mind. Like, you went to do that, to serve. Like, it was voluntary, and that's, you know, that is why people say, you know, thank you for your service, because, you know.
That was, it was a hell of a decision to make to do
Yeah.
it. Yeah,
But
for sure.
the public wasn't, they're not supposed to see that. They're not supposed to experience it. They're not, you know, supposed
Right.
to be out there doing that.
Right.
And so you just got to keep that in mind.
Now you help people that are coming. I read a little bit through your bios and stuff. I kind of bounced around the internet and to find things, and it said that you do help people to make that when they're coming back from their deployments and things, to help them reintegrate into whatever normal is.
Yeah.
And is that a big thing that you do? Is it like a side thing that you do, or?
It started off as like a main thing, and like when I left CIA, I didn't really know what the hell I was gonna do, and I was in pretty bad shape, and
How do you mean?
I was on pills and drinking and no sleep and fights, and it was
Just feeding back that adrenaline
a
thing.
complete mess.
Yeah.
And my family had relationships had all gone to complete shit. Most of my friends has gone to shit, and I met this lady out of Boston, and she really helped me and my friend. And I didn't have anything going on, and she saved our lives. Has saved his life several times, and I was like, shit, I got to get involved, and she like really makes a difference. And I had been involved with a lot of other organizations, but there's just so many veteran nonprofit organizations that are just bullshit. You know, it's just a tax shelter, or, you know, publicity stunt, or whatever. They don't actually give a shit about what they say they're doing. It's all about the money, or whatever, you know, their real agenda is. And this one wasn't like that, you know, and it was like very apparent. So I jumped on board right away, and I started reaching out to all the guys I knew that were coming back or getting out, or, you know, and getting them ready to talk. I was basically just spreading the word.
Yeah.
And
Can you say what the organization is?
it's Veterans Advocacy Services by Peggy Matthews. She started it, and it's out of Boston, and she's like a fucking angel.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, Peggy.
Yeah. But yeah, and I was able to link a lot of people together that kind of made what she was doing I don't know if more effective is the right way, but she was able to reach a lot more people, and I think it made things a lot more efficient. So, and then once that was done, I mean, once I got that ball rolling, I just, as much as I wanted to stay on there was really not anything left for me to do. So, and I could see that. So, and it kind of sucked taking a step back, but I was just like, hey, I did my part. I connected these dots, and
Save some lives.
yeah, now I'm just in the way.
Because, was it 22 veterans commit suicide a day?
Yeah.
Something like that. It's super high.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a conversation. Do you know who Rachel Caden is? She's a Brit. She's doing a documentary about her friend Kevin, who passed away. He committed suicide, and he was in the British infantry. And we had a long talk, and you know, the thing of it is where, you know, our expectations of a service person when they go overseas and all the things that we are requiring of them, and then to abandon them fully when they come back, you know, in their need, and we're okay with them helping us, but then we don't turn around and help them. It seems like there's a huge disconnect for the powers that be to understand why that is so wrong on so many levels.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that people like Peggy exist. You know,
yeah.
that,
she is a lifesaver.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. And, yeah, going down. I mean, you know, it's just hard, you know, like, and I just had a friend die, in January.
I'm sorry.
And, he got blown up in Syria. And, there's not a direct connection between you and anybody that died over there, you know, maybe. And so it's hard for you to, like, feel, you know, like, if your dad or somebody you loved or whoever, you know, dies in a car accident, there's not a direct connection. So I don't really feel that, you know, and it's hard, you know, when so many of your friends die over there. You see people just like, oh, yeah, well, whatever, man. I'm gonna fucking barbecue on Veterans Day, or
don't even get me started about that.
It's like, oh, damn it! Like, it just makes me cringe. Or like the VA. I mean, that whole thing is a complete fucking mess.
It's a disaster. I'm not gonna lie, I get so mad whenever I see a Veterans Day sale. It burns me up inside.
Yeah.
Oh God, that's a mess. Let's change tacks a little bit. How did you come to be a part of the CIA situation? What was that?
Oh, so when I left the SEAL teams, I had no clue what the hell I wanted to do when I got out. And
how many years had you done that?
6 years.
Okay.
And
that's extra long, right? Because normally it's 4?
No.
Does it just depend?
Most guys that go in there are doing like 10,
oh, okay.
15.
Did you re-up every time, or is it?
I extended.
Okay.
I wanted to. I had done Afghanistan. I wanted to go to Iraq and kind of get it on over there. So I extended to do it. So, anyway, so I got out after that. After Iraq, I was done. And I went to school. I became a real estate agent.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I went...
that must have been a surreal switch.
Oh, I was horrible. I was like the worst real estate agent ever. And I just had no people skills.
You're like, and this room holds 15,000 AK-47s.
Yeah.
They're like, what?
It was like... I mean, I was like, yeah, there's a bathroom, there's a kitchen, so you want to buy this fucking place or what? And so... That didn't, because I pretty much crashed and burned there.
Oh, God.
And went to school, couldn't handle that. And I was just, you know, there's kids coming out of high school, and they're still shooting spit wads and playing the class clown shit. And I just couldn't handle it. You know, I wanted to learn. And anyways, that didn't work out. And I jumped into a fire academy, and that didn't work out either.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And while I was in the fire academy, I had a buddy who I had served with in Afghanistan, who was also a SEAL, told me about contracting, and he was like, "Oh, you gotta try this," you know, and but he wouldn't tell me anything, who I was with, or he was just like, "You gotta come out, give me your resume, I'm gonna put it in. They're gonna have to run you an entire new clearance," and I was, you know, which confused me because I was like, "Well, I already have a clearance. Why?" And he's like, "Yeah, but this is a different one." And I'm like, "Okay, whatever." So I didn't hear anything.
Wearing like the Mr. Potato Head glasses and mustache.
It was a phone call. Yeah, it was a phone call, and I was just like, "Well, you can't." I mean, I kind of like assumed. I was like, "Well, it's got to be like one of the agencies, you know, one of the 3-letter ones." And so I was like, you know, at first I thought it was just Blackwater, and I didn't want anything to do with that because I had seen those guys over there, and I just didn't like what I saw. And he said, "No, it's nothing like that. Everybody on here is from special operations. They at least have to have, you know, 6 years," which, so I just made the cut. And he's like, "Just try out." He's like, "If you make it," which he's like, "it's tough." And he's like, "The pay's awesome. The guys are awesome." He's like, "The mission's awesome for the most part." And I was like, "All right, fuck it, I'll try it." And yeah, I went, and there was about, I think there was 30 something of us, and like single digits. I think there was 5 that made it through. And,
was it harder than SEAL training?
No, it wasn't. It was. It wasn't easy, but was nothing even. In the grand scheme of things, it was not even close to SEAL training. It was kind of like you just show up and perform, and if you can perform, then you're in. So, and it was about a month long, but you don't really know much about the standards. They're just kind of like giving you all these little tests, and it's kind of like, well, just do it best you can, you know, and no, they wouldn't tell you anything. They would just sit there and write shit down on a clipboard, and then at the end of the day, it's like, oh, well, I guess I made it for another day, you know, and until the end. And then at the end, when you get through everything, is when they give you like your kind of like your in brief, like, "Welcome to CIA." And so, which was kind of cool. You're like, "Oh shit, you know, this is pretty neat."
Yeah.
Like, it's not what I thought it was going to be, but whatever, man. I'm in.
Yeah.
So I did that for about 9 years, and
it's sort of like the dossier shows up on your doorstep and you read it and then go off to some interesting place.
It's pretty close to that.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, like,
your name is Frank Smith and you're from.
It is.
Yeah.
You got a cover. You got
yeah.
All that kind of shit, depending on where you're going, and yeah, you fly in, you get a brief, and then you're out the next day. And
do they, in the CIA training, do they teach you about morphing into different kinds of people? I watched this really fascinating video by a CIA woman, a former CIA operative, and she said, you know, a thing that people don't understand is you, depending on where you're from, even the way you stand shows whether or not, like, she said, an American, for example, tends to lean on one leg or another, whereas a Brit will stand on both legs. And I thought, wow, isn't that fascinating? She was talking about, you know, don't get pickpocketed in Europe by looking like an American, you know, look like a European, look like a Brit kind of thing. And I was like, wow, that's really fascinating. And then they showed, of course, the makeup and all that and how people would morph into all these different characters.
Yeah.
It's freaking crazy.
It's pretty cool. I mean, most of us don't get like that in depth, but because, I mean, you really have to study, you know, to be able to do that. So instead of doing what she's talking about, which, I mean...
That's probably more espionage-y stuff or something.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like...
Cloak and dagger.
You just have to... If you're going to go that in detail, like, just think of all the shit that she's missing. And we would see that all the time with people who, like, claim to know all that kind of stuff.
Really?
And it's all bullshit.
Yeah.
So, I'm just going to tell you.
YouTube!
Yeah, it is. I mean, maybe
It
like
was really
one or two
fascinating,
people could do it, but there's so much shit that they're missing. Like, I'll just give you an example. We would use, CIA's everybody. It's women, guys, sure. And we would be pulling like huge surveillance things, and with big teams of men and women, and sometimes women would wear like the burqas, which is like the
sure.
the little ninja suits that you see over there, and we would be picking somebody up or snatching or somebody or doing something where we got to get somebody, and sometimes it's a friendly, sometimes it's not, but you would grab these guys and they'd be like, those two girls that were in the hotel when I passed through there, because it might be like a big long route like throughout the entire city where it's it's kind of like the movies where it's like, oh yeah, Hotel 25, we just had them pass through here, and it's just everybody's trying to keep eyes on one person as they move along.
Sure.
And you move them through, you might have them go to a soccer game because they have to walk through a metal detector to get into the soccer game, and then they're back out of the soccer game, and you're like, well, I know that
they're not carrying something.
Yeah. And but anyways, I remember this guy was like, those two girls that were in the hotel, and I'm like, yeah, and he's like, those were Americans, weren't they? And we're like, well, I don't know, why do you say that? And he's like, well, they're fucking wearing that thing on the wrong side. And, it's like stupid little things little like details, that that none of us would ever pick up, and it's so tribal over there.
Sure.
That you just never know.
Isn't
what I
that
mean?
Interesting?
And, just like that, like wearing that on the left side, 30 miles down the road, maybe that tribe wears it on the right. And if you're out of place, it's like, well, why the hell would this person from this tribe be in this location? It doesn't make any sense. It's like, oh, well, they're probably Americans. Or, whoever.
Yeah.
But so instead of trying to perfect, like what the locals are doing, you don't necessarily have to look like a local. You can be a businessman or, whatever.
A tourist or...
Yeah.
Probably not a lot of tourism, though.
And, yeah, but, I mean, you can find different covers rather than try to be something that just isn't, I mean, I got a sleeve of tattoos. I don't speak a lick of Arabic, and...
Sure.
And, my skin color doesn't look like that, and so rather than try to be something that just isn't going to fucking work, then try to find something that you can do. Maybe you're a journalist, and maybe you're an American journalist, and you're just trying to write a story to promote some business that's over there.
Yeah.
And they buy off on that shit all day long.
Yeah.
Because,
how long? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Because you can still use all your regular mannerisms. You're not faking anything other than just don't deviate from your I'm a journalist.
Right.
Story.
Yeah.
Which is a hell of a lot more effective because you're more in a natural state.
Yeah, you don't have a ton of stuff to remember either, probably.
Yeah.
One false move kind of thing.
Yeah.
So how long were you with the CIA?
Right around 9 years.
How does one just decide one day that that's it, or do you have a tour of CIA duty or something like that?
No, because I was contractor, so I could leave at any time.
It was up to you.
And actually employees, they can leave at any time.
Okay.
It's not like the military. It's, you could go through the farm and never even deploy and be like, yeah, you know what, I'm done. But I'll contract for you guys. I'll make 10 times the money. And, which a lot of them do.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Interesting. So where did you transition into having Vigilance Elite, which is your company?
Oh, I
shouldn't say which is your company as if you didn't know. Yeah. I really said that for them listening.
Okay.
Did you know you had this company?
I almost forgot. But when I got out in 2015 of the agency, I just started seeing, we had all these attacks, and there was like a lot of them there for a while, big ones.
You mean here on Homeland or overseas?
Europe and Homeland,
okay, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And with all that were like these cell phone, there's always like cell phone footage nowadays, and I would just see like, I think it was the Belgium one that in Brussels, the airport, and you could just see how people were reacting when gunfire started and people were getting killed and
like running toward the gunfire.
Yeah, I mean, just like they don't know what to hide behind. They don't know anything, like nothing. They're just people are hiding behind suitcases and I just kind of like the more I saw it, I was like, holy shit, man! Like people just have no damn clue what to do when this is happening, and it's happening all the time. So that's when I started it, and didn't go very good. I mean, when nobody thinks it's going to happen to them, how the hell, you
Although
can't
anymore,
sell it.
I feel like now people think it's probably going to happen to me.
Yeah, but you can't. It's just a hard thing to sell, and like I said, I was not a people person. I was like right out of the combat zones, and it didn't work. So I started shooting, and because I noticed that not very many people know how to shoot either. Even there's all these gun owners.
Boy.
And
they don't know how to clean a gun.
Nobody knows how to use the damn thing.
Yeah.
So I started, and I was also like, well, what does everybody want to see? Or operators shooting guns, and so I started teaching, and I just guess I was a natural. I'm really good at it, and
at teaching.
Yeah. I'm really good at it, and so that's what I've been doing, and then it kind of grew into this whole YouTube thing, which kind of went crazy, and
so you train actors and
I wound up training Keanu Reeves for the next John Wick movie, John Wick 3.
Okay. How was that? I've not seen one of those movies. I know there's a lot of gun going
That's okay. I hadn't seen them either. But no, it was cool. I don't really get starstruck or anything, so I just didn't really...
Yeah, I think he's a normal person.
Yeah, it was cool, but and he was cool.
Yeah.
I was like kind of expecting like kind of a self-entitled pompous ass, but
he does not strike me as that kind of a person.
Not at all.
Not that I know him at all, but he
not
seems way more grounded than that.
He was like very chill, really cool dude.
Now, since somebody like that, he's been in other movies where he used guns, so is it much easier to train someone, an actor especially, who has already probably had some sort of elite training in order to hold weapons and things and how to stance? Like my dad is a big, like, he makes his own bullets and all that kind of stuff, and he's really? Yeah, and it makes him crazy when he sees how some actors hold their guns.
Yeah.
He's like yelling at the TV.
Yeah. I didn't actually teach him how to shoot. I was teaching him how to clear a room. So, and what I mean by that is, like, if you see like cops getting like stacking up on a door before they make entry, and then they make entry, and it's all kind of like one flow. That's what I was teaching him to do. And then, and I was on, but he was, he's very proficient with firearms, and like really good. But he didn't, when you bring in like realistic type stuff, like I didn't watch John Wick either until after I trained him. I was like, well, what am I training this guy for? And and I looked at it, and it's like not realistic at all, And
it's like hyper stylized, I suppose.
Yeah.
That makes for good movies, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's like one guy in a room killing 200 people at once, and it's like, okay. But
I'm not gonna lie, I think a lot of American gun owners think that if, all the shit breaks loose, that they singularly will take on whatever.
there are a lot of those people.
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't think that's gonna happen.
Yeah,
It's gonna
that's
go
not
down.
really how it happens. But if they want to live in their fantasy land, then, so be it. But no, I was teaching. I would think they brought me out to maybe make this one a little more realistic.
Did you go to Los Angeles?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
how did they find you? I mean,
I think it was just dumb luck. I was training with the guy, Taryn Butler, who trains all these stars. And he's kind of like the go-to guy for Hollywood. And I had called one of his products out in a video of mine that went viral, which boosted his business. And so I got a call asking if I want to go down there and make some videos with him. And I did. So I wound up down there, and then the next thing you know, he's like, hey, Keanu Reeves is coming out tomorrow to train for John Wick 3. Would you want to train him? And I was like, yeah, but I don't give a shit. Let's do it. And that's how it happened.
How does one person clear a room of 20 or 200?
They don't.
They don't.
They don't make it out to tell the tale. That's for damn sure.
Yeah.
So
unless you're John Wick.
Yeah, unless you're John Wick.
Yeah.
But but he was very attentive, and
which you should be when you're handling firearms.
Yeah.
I mean, it's really, there's no room for slacking and when you have a weapon in your hand.
Yeah, but I just wasn't expecting like that.
Yeah.
Like he was into it. It wasn't even like he was there for work. Like he legitimately wanted to learn it, and that was cool.
Yeah.
So, I mean, when you're teaching somebody that doesn't really want to listen, or they let their ego get in the way, and that they're a know-it-all, like that's just a pain in the ass. But he just took it all in, and he was like the perfect student.
That's cool.
So yeah, I can't wait to see, if they actually use any of it.
I'm sure they will. I'm sure. Yeah.
But yeah, it was a cool experience, and I got a bunch of video teaching them. And
do you use? This may sound like a dumb question, but I'm okay with being dumb. When you are in a situation like that, and you have someone who's probably highly insured, I'm guessing, I'm sure the studio makes sure that everything is really smooth and nobody's going to get hurt, but accidents happen, obviously. So do you use blanks for something like that, or are you using real bullets, or or lasers, or what are you doing?
Yeah, well, actually, we did not fire a round. So.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, we did not fire one round, and because it looks easy, but there's so much that goes into room clearances that it's all about flow. So it's like, where's your gun as you're coming through the door, and where is it when you come, when you're in the middle of the doorway, and what should your gun be pointed at as soon as you cross the doorway, and all of those things. So I was just teaching him kind of how to flow as he's moving through.
It's like Tai Chi or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is kind of something like that. And and with that, you don't need to be shooting. You need to learn how to move.
Interesting.
And so that's what I was there for, was to teach him how to move and look realistic. And I mean, he already knows how to shoot. So.
That's cool.
Yeah.
When does that movie come out?
It's coming out May 17th, I believe. Somewhere around there.
Cool.
But yeah.
So I saw on the video tell everybody how to find it's the vigilanceelite.com. Is that
Vigilanceelite.com.
right? Yeah, yep. Okay. And there's tons of information on there. But you have night training and the day training, and you train groups and individuals, and the night training, out of this world, the laser sights and things.
Yeah.
How do you? I guess in Tennessee, there's tons of good land to run around in the dark with weaponry.
Yeah, I kind of quit doing that.
Yeah.
I just, once I kind of saw the need for just really like just basic fundamentals.
Straightforward stuff.
And honestly, I just got tired of that shit. And, you know, it's just not realistic. It's kind of like the people who go to those are kind of like the end of the world, like fantasy people that are like, oh man, like the zombies are coming. And
the zombies are here already.
Yeah, like
too late. And
I'm just not really into that. I'm more of a realist. And so I got into teaching all women's courses. And,
wow.
Yeah. And
women are fierce warriors.
Yeah. And what got me into it, I had a really good friend of mine that asked me to train some of her friends, and one of those friends was had been raped, and I didn't realize this until afterwards, but she sent me this email after I trained her, and I think we did like 4 days, I think. And I mean, when I read that email, it was very descriptive and on what happened, and then the like the self-confidence that she had gotten back after, and like kind of like the self-empowerment that she had felt. She's like, I haven't felt this good, you know, since before that happened, which was years ago. And when I read that, and I don't want to go into too much detail, but it just was another one of those feelings that's like the best fucking feeling in the world. You're just like, holy shit, man. Like, she's holding her head higher now. She's got confidence, and it was just really cool. So I got in, so I started doing all women's courses all the time, and that's all fundamentals and a lot of patience, but and to see like some of these women that are just like, I mean, they're knocking it out of the park now, you know, and then word started getting around. And so once I started kind of getting that feeling and seeing like all these women, like, you know, get inspired and get that confidence back, or just any confidence at all, like I completely shit-canned all the other stuff and just started focusing on fundamentals, and with guys and girls now. And yeah, I mean, that's like my niche. I'm not trying to teach the gear guys that have every gun in the book, and don't know how to use any of them, and they just want a bunch of toys.
That is, so I'm a songwriter too, and I had a co-write with a couple people, and one of the women in the co-write was talking about her gun, and I said, oh, what kind of gun? And she told me, and it was like a little handgun, and I said, oh, cool. I said, have you taken classes? She said, well, I have my license. And I said, well, that's good. I said, so, you know, like, clean it and all that kind of stuff. She had no idea. She'd never taken it apart.
Yeah.
Really, like, and I just think that you have to really know what that thing does.
Yeah. It did. People don't understand it. And, you know, they just never will. You know, like, unfortunately, like, it's probably going to do more harm than good, you know, because she doesn't know what the hell she's doing. But, you know,
statistically, that's true.
Yeah. But, you know, for those that actually want to learn and want to take it seriously, like, they're fucking great to teach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Shawn, this has been so interesting. Thank you.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. And again, I'm losing my voice all of a sudden. Excuse me. See, this is why edits are so great. VigilanceElite.com is how they find you. Is there an email that?
Operations@VigilanceElite.com.
And I'll put those links on HeyHumanPodcast.com. Thank you, Shawn.
Cool. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Hey there. Thanks for listening. If you got a moment, please go to iTunes and rate and review Hey Human Podcast. Thanks.